What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Madden 16 PS4. Do me a favor, like button, subscribe button, criticism in the comment section, Twitter. Shutdown Safety is my username. Doing the connected franchise here through 2018 with Madden simulating it to kind of get an idea of some of the flaws that it has. Yesterday we talked about the Bears. Today we will talk about the Bengals and see how Madden has had them progress going forward. So again, the idea here is to look at some of the problems this game has in hopes that they can get addressed in the future. When we look at the Bengals, obviously start a quarterback here. Andy Dalton, it's good to see the above-average quarterback staying on board. I know a lot of people hate on Andy Dalton, but that's okay. Bryce Petty to back him up. I don't know how realistic that is, but I guess that's going to determine on how good Bryce Petty can be. I'm not a big fan of three quarterbacks on a team, but again, to keep that franchise player, you really can't be too irritated by it. Halfbacks, Chris Ivory, Deion Cooper, and Storm Johnson here. Not the best set of backs, but certainly all serviceable. You wonder how fast, Chris Ivory would be at this point, 30 years old in the league. But obviously it looks like they've got someone that they've drafted recently in Cooper that's at least able to beat the veteran in Johnson and maybe be serviceable going forward if Chris Ivory leaves or gets benched. They did just draft a fullback, so that's not too bad. And take a look at the receiving core. Positive here with A.J. Green. You have that combination of a elite receiver and again the above average, if you want to call him that, quarterback. Marvin Jones has stayed. Cecil Shorts III has came over. Justin Hunter and Denard Hale was more than likely just drafted. So again, a pretty good receiving core, and I like the fact that you've got the 68 overall younger player that you can groom if Green or Shorts III goes. Taking a look at tight end here, looks like we've kept Tyler Eifert, so that's not bad at all. And then you look at, 277s behind him. I don't know why you're going to need three tight ends rather, and if you do, why is Quarles even on the Quarles rather on the roster? He is no better than the younger player in front of him. So in my opinion, we start to talk a little bit about the way they're projecting these rosters, the way the teams are controlling the depth charts that they have. Taking a look at tackles here, you've got a year one player, 81 overall, being backed up by a 73. Take a look at the guards, Clint Bowling, obviously still on board, and take a look at center. It's a little bit of a struggle there. Certainly, you've got room to improve. They just drafted this Cody Haynes kid who doesn't look like he may pan out to be much, but again, that's going to be the weak part of your line. You take a look at the right guards, which appear pretty set, and the tackles. Andre Smith is still there, and then Morgan Moses is backing him up, so that's not too shabby. Carlos Dunlap here is going to be your left end. Mario Addison is going to back him up. Again, when you've got a 90 overall, you're not going to have, the greatest player in the world behind him, so they've kind of upgraded there. When you take a look at the right ends, Randy Gregory, and again, we run into a situation, Antonio White, 72 overall, Shadon Hill, second year, really first year in the league, 72 overall, What are you doing with this? You've got three young players here, one of which, you're only going to be able to groom one going forward, especially when you've got needs in other areas. You just drafted a fullback. You take a look at your defensive tackles. Geno Atkins, okay, I can deal with that. Sylvester Williams, and then a pair of rookies. So, why are we drafting two defensive tackles when we're coming up short in other areas? Why would you have two defensive tackles that are both 74 overall? Why not try to trade away one of these players? Okay, let's say you get rid of 8 years of Geno Atkins and start Sylvester Williams in exchange for a fullback or something better. It just doesn't seem to really be a good way to build a team when you look at a lot of these decisions. You've got your linebackers here with Harrington and Okafor. I mean, that is a terrible 54 overall. What is he going to do? Their linebacking core, Danny Trevathan, Stephen Tulloch. If you're again, I mean, a lot of these are going to be viewed the same way. But if you're this bad over here with your left side linebacker, why do you have two aging middle linebackers, 86 and 80, when you're drafting one that's terrible? Why are you not trying? I mean, they did keep Vontaze Burfict, but clearly, the left side is just going to be your weakest link. It's very noticeable. Taking a look at corners here, Altron Werner, Sterling Moore, Demarius McCray, Marcus Burley, Josh Shaw, Malcolm Guy. I mean, that is basically a run-of-the-mill of below average quarterbacks, and at this point, they're midway through their lifespan. Now you're talking about rolling out. If something happens to Werner, your best cornerbacks are 74 overall. It seems like there's clear issues with the way this team was built and clear faults in the way the team was built. Taking a look at a free safety, Jerron Russell, 1 year experience, so this kid's relatively fresh, and McNeil, 1 year experience. So you mean to tell me that right now you've got 279 overall, basically a 79 overall secondary backing up a predominantly set of corners that are going to roll out at least with 1 to 2 74 overall, depending on their formation. That's just not a positive look for a defense. The kicker is Samuel's a rookie, 81 overall, so that's not bad. And then obviously Malone is going to be your punter. So love to know your guys' opinions and impressions on this series and team. I obviously will be back in the week with more content.